Tim's de facto husband Ken accompanying her. The first time she called him that, I thought she said defective husband, a slip which has proved somewhat prophetic. Even if Ken were the sociable sort, it would be unthinkable to have him and Dad under the same roof. Although my parents split up half my lifetime ago, Dad still has the air of a man newly divorced. My entrance provided Tim with a welcome diversion, and he accepted my bottle of bargain bin champagne gratefully and retreated to the kitchen to chill it. I don't know why I bought it. I had never felt less fizzy in my life, and given the state of my finances, it was highly imprudent. I had intended to buy the cheapest thing in the off-licence fridge, but when you are as broke as me, economies on that scale seem rather futile. I had played down my predicament to the family, telling them only that we decided to wind up the business because it was no longer profitable. I omitted any mention of bailiffs, repossession orders, threatening letters, and my various personal debts. I started Backlist Books 3 years previously with Giles and Maggie, 2 college friends, after we had all been sacked from publishing jobs during a period of belt-tightening. Maggie had decided that initially our best chance of making money would be to forswear literature and confine ourselves to publishing those self-improvement books with titles like Stop Feeling Guilty and That's Not What I Meant, A Guide to Better Communication. The beauty of these was that they didn't have to be very long. Even the most dedicated self-improver begins to wilt after 80 pages or so. Maggie was in charge of the accounts and everything to do with sales, which, as our only outlet was direct mail selling, involved everything from booking advertising space to stuffing books in jiffy bags. Giles dealt with the production side, haggling with printers, hounding typesetters, and it was my job to commission writers and freelancers, edit, copy-edit and proofread. We had secretarial and envelope-stuffing help in the shape of a school leaver who was frighteningly efficient and cost-conscious and used to leave bossy yellow stickers everywhere reminding us to shut doors and switch lights off and put our scrap paper in the recycling box. And there was design expertise from a freelancer called Murph, whose favourite trick was to turn up at 5 to 6 on Friday evening just as we were all going home. We had invested all our redundancy money and savings in the lease on the office, a couple of basement rooms in Brixton, one of which was large enough to function as a makeshift warehouse. None of our suppliers would let us have anything on a long-term repayment arrangement unless it was personally guaranteed, so underwriting the furniture, computers, photocopier and fax machine was a rash of dotted lines, signed and countersigned. The project's sleaziness was only intended to be short-term. As soon as we started to make money, went the theory, we would be able to afford to move on to better, worthier books. But somehow these profits never materialised. Even when times were good, we only made enough to stand still. Our collapse, once it started, took just 4 months. One morning last August, I was sitting in the office trying out the personality test in 101 Tips for Business and Social Success and was feeling piqued at having come out as a poor team player when I became aware of a telephone conversation that was taking place in Maggie's office. "Oh dear," she was saying. "How much?" "That much." "Oh dear." A moment later she appeared in the doorway, cigarette in hand, fanning smoke through her nostrils like a dragon. "Did you hear that?" I nodded. "It was the landlord. Apparently the people in the top flat are getting the roof mended, which means we'll have to pay our share." "How much?" 5,000. It wouldn't have been an insurmountable problem if we weren't already having trouble paying our printers, and each new title seemed to do slightly worse than the last. As our advertisements grew larger and more expensive, our claims more extravagant. "Your money back if this book does not change your life." So public demand dwindled. I tried not to worry. After all, there had been difficult patches before, and things had always improved. At one stage, we had been selling several thousand of every title. They would barely have time to be wheeled from the van to the storeroom before Melanie would be packing them into envelopes and sending them out. It was then that we had bought our expensive equipment, the photocopier, the new desks, the computer.